Although the first half of 2023 has been a mostly great year for the big world of the small screen, there have been countless duds amongst the diamonds, and while all of the following shows aren't entirely unforgivable, their flaws do massively outweigh their virtues. And with that in mind, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 worst TV shows of 2023 so far. Number 10, DICKMAN. It brings me absolutely no pleasure to report that Andy Samberg's TV return DICKMAN is a bit of a flop. A promising little comedy that starts strong and looks perfectly fine, but ultimately succumbs to its repetitive meta-humor and one-note characters. There is plenty of joy to be found in Samberg's performance as a downtrodden archaeologist because he's having such a blast bringing back his iconic SNL Nick Cage impression, but the truth is that the whole gimmick loses steam quite early, and the whole what-if National Treasure had dick jokes premise just doesn't last for the full duration. If you're looking for a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reunion, then look no further, but don't go in expecting a comedy that will leave you begging for more. At least this is only its first season, so there is plenty of time, assumedly, to improve from here. And like I said, there are plenty of strong elements, so it's not a complete write-off, hence it being number 10. Number 9, Rabbit Hole. Obviously, getting a little bit restless staying away from his thriller roots for too long, Kiefer Sutherland has returned to the small screen this year with Rabbit Hole, a rudderless conspiracy flick that fails to match 24's excitement and action. Now, there are some bright spots worth mentioning thanks to the typically dependable performances of Sutherland and Charles Dance, and its timely dramatic edge. But these strengths are too often overshadowed by trite techno jargon, shaky action, and a twist for the twist of it cliches. There's a great show in here somewhere, but it's too desperate to be taken seriously as a twisty spiritual successor to Sutherland's greatest project that it fails to find its own identity or slow down to savor its compelling premise. It's not the worst thing in the world by any means, but it is frustrating just how far it is from realizing its own potential. Number 8, The Crowded Room. You have to give Tom Holland some credit these days. The guy sure is trying, and he's such a likable actor that's eager to champion him in all of these roles. His latest post-MCU endeavor, though, The Crowded Room, gives the young actor another opportunity to prove his worth as an actor, but sadly does little to match his talent. Based on the real case of Billy Milligan, a serial killer with multiple personality disorder, the Apple miniseries has a great cast and some intriguing imagery, but it's also so disorganized and shallow in its assessments of mental illness that you'll be hard-pressed making it through its 10-hour run. Again, Holland is on exceptional form, proving once again that he's much more than our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But man oh man, did the rest of The Crowded Room need more fine-tuning. If it was a film, we'd probably call it hollow Oscar bait, but as a show, it's just hollow, destined to be forgotten by summer's end. Number 7, The Mandalorian Season 3. It was going quite well in its first year, but The Mandalorian has finally run out of steam with its third season, which seems to have absolutely no idea what story it wants to tell, or what to do with its increasingly bland characters. Complete with tacky effects and forgettable action, the show's latest season gets too tied up trying to link itself to the wider lore of the Star Wars universe, burying its one simple story of a bounty hunter and his cute little sidekick in exposition and subplots that feel irritatingly drawn out. Like the other shows we've talked about so far, it's not a total write-off when it remembers the bond shared between Din and Grogu, and of course there are a bunch of excellent performances and some genuinely impressive action set pieces to look forward to, but it is an impressively dull affair overall. It's not quite bad as some other Star Wars shows, and is not quite as dull as the Book of Boba Fett, even if that wasn't a particularly high bar, but it is such a shame to see a show with such promise kind of become this generic. Let's hope it's only a blip and season 4 pulls things back around. Number 6, White House Plumbers. Political comedies are nothing new, I mean, hello Veep, but biographical political comedies still feel pretty niche, and if White House Plumbers is anything to go by, there's a very good reason for that. Following White House insiders Everett Hunt and George Liddy, the two Nixon allies responsible for the Watergate scandal, HBO's retelling of one of American history's most pivotal controversies sure has some fine performances, but its stuffy plot and dull humor leaves it fumbling in the dark. Another TV TV miniseries that probably should have been a movie, White House Plumbers is both too long and too self-serious to ever get comfortable with. The story is there and the actors are more than qualified, but its clumsy tonal shifts and unremarkable satire is too poor to ignore on this grander scale. Number 5. Fubar. Now, it should be said that Arnold Schwarzenegger's small screen debut has one of the better performances of his long career. But my oh my, does this thing drag and groan under the weight of itself. Following a veteran CIA agent who learns that his daughter, an admittedly scene-stealing Monica Barbaro, fresh off her breakout role in Top Gun Maverick, is also a secret agent, Fubar's only joke about strained families and Arnie being an infamous action man simply can't withstand its monumental 8-hour runtime. It has some genuine bright spots, particularly early on, but by the time it reaches its tired conclusion, you probably won't care about its cliched espionage setup and Arnie, though granted it is nice to see him enjoying himself here, mocking his famous action hero persona. Once again, should have been a movie. Number 4, Agent Elvis. Who on earth signed off on this? That's the question you'll probably be asking on repeat while watching Netflix's latest adult animation, Agent Elvis, a series which reimagines the King of Rock as a globe-trotting secret agent. Starring Matthew McConaughey in the eponymous role, who's trying painfully hard to emulate Presley's voice with every "thank you very much" stereotype in the book, Agent Elvis is excessive and violent, but not particularly inventive nor subversive and witty as it clearly thinks it is. With cheesy one-liners and unengaging animation, the comedy is basically one joke stretched out over 10 increasingly mindless spectacles of violence. It's an idea that Netflix couldn't resist, and it certainly does sound promising, don't get me wrong, well, in the right hands that is, but didn't think about too much before throwing its first and hopefully last season out the docks. Number 3, Fear the Walking Dead Season 8. Now, Fear the Walking Dead, which stumbled into its 8th and final season, died a long time ago. But as it turns out, it's not quite done showing audiences just how downright awful it can get. At this point, the plot, and plot being a strong word there, has entered the realm of pure cartoonish nonsense, the likes of which is so ridiculous it makes The Walking Dead look like The Wire. Harsh? Well, you try watching Morgan fighting yet another mental breakdown and tell me you're not fed up with it. With clunky direction, laughably melodramatic dialogue, and tired performances, even the always great Lenny James was legitimately relieved to leave. Fear the Walking Dead's latest chapter is its weakest yet, and a stark reminder that, despite how great it once was, we've maybe let the Walking Dead franchise become too powerful for its own good. Number 2, Citadel. The Citadel is like if Red Notice was made into a TV show. Not only is it almost hilariously ugly despite costing a whopping $300 million to make, but its story is so dull it's a wonder it was greenlit at all. Starring a disastrously wooden Richard Madden as a spy with memory loss, the Russo brothers produced thriller, because of course it's a Russo brothers produced thriller, is essentially an exercise in cliché with no style or narrative invention to speak of. There may be a good story in here somewhere, but it's submerged by its own lofty intentions and tacky action. Reportedly, the series' budget was so high because it went through some extensive reshoots, making you wonder what they threw away to begin with. Because in its current form, well, you've seen the Citadel a million times before, but never this poorly conceived. It's almost honestly sad to watch a show that cost this much be so creatively drab. Number 1, The Idol. The worst show of 2023 has to be The Idol, though, a show deemed absolutely awful before it was even released, but proved by almost every metric to be 100 times worse than anyone was expecting in the first place, and that is kinda crazy to think about. Created by Euphoria's Sam Levinson and starring The Weeknd, The Idol follows Lily Rose Depp's pop star Jocelyn as she tries to make it big alongside her cult leader mentor. Does it sound promising? Well, maybe again in the right hands, but it's actually hard to see the potential through the finished product. Visually uninteresting and populated by some of the worst dialogue you'll ever hear, The Idol wants to be a big-budget satire of Hollywood and of the celebrity as a whole, but crashes and burns under its shock-and-awe visuals, grotesque sex, blatant sexism, and oddly melodramatic performances. It may have been released to a media firestorm for its controversial topics, but rest assured it's far worse than you're imagining, so stay aware. So, that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think these are the worst shows of 2023 so far, or are there any other duds we missed off here? Let me know, and while you're down there, if you could, please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.